Well, we have a team of correspondents covering this story for us in the US. In a moment, we'll be live in Atlanta with Phil Lavelle. But first to John Hendren, who's at the City University of New York. So, John, what's the situation there at the moment? Tell us what's happening.
Well, after more than a week of this, there's a sense of normalcy like you would have at, say, a refugee camp. If you look around, all of these tents remain. Those are where people live and sleep by day. And then if you look over on the other side, behind this monument here, you've got speakers, one after the other, who come out and sort of encourage people, remind them why they're here. And the entire time, they're trying to make sure the police don't come in and sweep this all away. And the rules are different at each camp. We went to Princeton University earlier today. They tried to play by the rules there. They didn't put up tents. They wore masks because they were worried about being identified. They don't want to be kicked out. And they didn't use microphones because that's against university rules. But here and at most other camps, they simply don't play by the university's rules. And that's kind of the point of an occupation. Earlier, we spoke to Linda Sarsour. She is a well-known Palestinian-American speaker, and she had a lot to say about what she thought about what these students are accomplishing. Here's a sample.
These young people are reaffirming and demonstrating that the tide is shifting on Palestine, that the Palestinian people have solidarity, not just across the United States of America, but across the world. And these young people stand in a long tradition of student activism against the war in Vietnam, against South African apartheid, and now for freedom and justice for the Palestinian people.
So we had 100 students arrested at Northeastern University, hundreds over the past week or so. I was at the January 6th protests. I didn't see anybody get arrested there. Do you think there's a double standard here?
There absolutely is double standards in American law enforcement and also with these university presidents. I mean, we are watching young people here who are engaging in safe and peaceful protesting. They are young people that you don't even have to agree with, but they live in America in a democracy and they have every right to freedom of speech, and they are being brutalized by law enforcement who could be using their time for something else. And in fact, the fact that we are suppressing young people across this country only further emboldens them and continues these types of encampments and work for justice for Palestine.
Do you have any idea why not one major university president is supporting these students and these demonstrations?
Unfortunately, the way the university system is set up, they are beholden to their donors. Instead of being loyal to their students, the students are what make these universities. Universities are supposed to be a place where we have an exchange of ideas, where we hear multiple perspectives and we decide where we want and what position we want to take. And the universities have demonstrated that they have taken a side, and it is the side of genocide, the side of occupation, and these young people are rejecting that because they don't want that to reflect their values, which are equity and justice and freedom for all.
So this has become the rhythm of daily life here. And they live at risk of arrest at all times. About 100 people were arrested in the past 24 hours. There have been over 650 people arrested over the past week or so. But when that happens and when they clear out these camps, the students simply rebuild in the same place as they have at Columbia and New York University, or they build elsewhere, as we saw earlier at Princeton.
John Hendren, thanks very much for that. Well, meanwhile, Phil Lavelle is at Emory University in Atlanta. Phil, describe the scene and the atmosphere there at the moment.
Well, I would say it's less protest, and for want of a better word, it's more festival-like at the moment. I mean, just 30 seconds ago, we had Bob Marley, we had Stevie Wonder playing, there are people here with their dogs. It's very much a positive gathering, and that's very much by design. The organisers have very publicly said on social media, you know, bring a blanket, bring some food, bring something to drink, and just make your presence known. This is not something where they want the police to be involved. They don't want any arrests. They want people to be here in a positive way, projecting their thoughts to the people of Gaza and doing what they can in any way to help. So that would be a complete contrast to what we saw on Thursday, of course, in exactly the same location where we saw those officers from Emory Police, from Atlanta Police, state troopers here, arresting some 28 people, including students. and faculty members. One professor, for example, was taken into custody as well. So a complete difference. And there is a very small police presence. I mean, it's very hard to spot a police officer here at the moment. You really have to look hard because they are very much keeping their distance. And we're told by organisers that they've been given until midnight before there's any kind of police action to take place. I'm going to talk now to a graduate student, Neethi Patel. Neethi, your role here is, I guess, less organiser and more like a liaison role between the students and the university. How's that been going?
It's been going really well. So I'm currently president of our graduate student body, and it's just been so nice to see all of our students who I've worked so closely with this year come together. We've got our med students who set up a first aid kit. Our law students have showed up as legal observers, and the community is really just coming together to rally in support of each other. So.
How are they feeling after Thursday? I mean, Thursday was quite a traumatic experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, I myself was actually here Thursday morning when it all went down, and it was absolutely traumatizing. It was terrifying, but again, it doesn't compare to what people in Gaza are facing right now, and we all recognize that, and we've come back together to reshift the idea to what we want is for Emory to commit to a full divestment of Israeli apartheid in Cop City here in Atlanta, and that's what we want to focus on.
How do you sort of realistically see it playing out? Because term ends quite soon. The protesters say we're going to be here every day, come rain or shine, no matter what. It sounds like the university's got it's not planning on changing its position. So who blinks first?
I think the university is going to have to. This is not just something that students decided Thursday morning. This is something we've been asking from the university since October. And divestment efforts on this campus go back to South African apartheid. So this is not new at all. And I think it's time that the university starts to listen, because them not listening is really what's causing harm to our community.
All right, Neethi Patel, thanks very much. Well, speaking of the university's position, the president of the university, Greg Fenvers, he is the man who on Thursday defended the police being here. He said that the protests were largely organised by outside influences, and he's been facing a lot of demands for him to go. In fact, on Friday, one faculty held a vote for a motion of no confidence in him. At the moment, he's not signalling that he's going anywhere, but his position is, according to a lot of people here, looking increasingly untenable. So it's obviously having ramifications closer to home as well as the wider issue, highlighting what's happening in the Middle East.
At Emory University in Atlanta for us there. Phil, thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.